Yeah, so ManageEngine as an IT management vendor, we deal with both the SMB and the enterprise segment. To keep this very simple, I just got to deep dive a bit. If you look at an SMB, right, the usual classification of SMB, it actually changes from region to region, right? So if you take US, an SMB is basically any company which is having less than 500 employees, right? But if you look at the rest of the world, it will be like any business having less than 250 is the set that we look at. So that's the small complexity that comes in when you broadly classify saying SMB and enterprise, right? So that's something that we as marketers need to think about, right? Because each country, each region, the classification is very different. And you should not do a broad stroke and plan your marketing campaigns with that data set in mind.
Yeah.
Complexity that organization like ManageEngine has over and above the SMB and enterprise divide is we are an IT management vendor, which means the audience that we speak to are the IT decision makers. And the complexity which I just mentioned about is because if you look at enterprise, as I mentioned, less than 250 or less than more than 250 or more than 500 in US or the rest of the world, the IT team size is a very crucial part in making your marketing messaging, right, identifying the decision makers. And for a set like an IT team, it's hovering around above 250 is enterprise and less than 50 is the small and medium business. So these metrics and segmentations are very, very crucial when you plan a marketing message. And if you are a vendor which deals with B2B audience, dealing with SMB and enterprise, these crucial nuggets of information is very, very important to factor in. Right.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we deal with, right? And that's the first thing that we look at before we start looking into the marketing messaging part. And I think if I dive a bit more, right?
Yeah.
If you look at SMB as a segment, when I look at the IT teams in the SMB, they're basically generalists because it's a small team size, which means a person will wear multiple hats in decision making. Right, he'll be looking at network, servers, applications, the cloud infrastructure all together. He'll be like one or two persons looking at it. Whereas in an enterprise, it's a specialized role, right? It'll be a very structured team. There is delineations of responsibility, and there's a larger focus on strategic planning and innovations. So that's the next big difference you need to look at when you look at the SMB and enterprise. So what I'm speaking till now is about the segmentation of your audience, which is very, very crucial for a marketing role. Right. And now comes the marketing message. So marketing message for an SMB is varied from the enterprise marketing message that you try in. That's because the expectation from the SMB audience and the enterprise audience is a bit different because of the complexities of the kind of IT infrastructure that they deal with. Right. So SMB, they may emphasis on efficiency, scalability, cost effectiveness. Right. They'll be looking at ease of implementation and use. They'll be looking at comprehensive support and integration capabilities. This is what it will be the top of the mind for an IT decision maker in an SMB.
Yeah.
But when you take an enterprise, right, they're looking at more advanced features. Over and above what an SMB looks at, they're looking at more advanced features. They're looking at innovation. They're looking for robust security. And because it's an enterprise, maybe spread across different geographies, the local compliances also come into play, which means they look for a vendor who's compliant to the local laws. And so this is all factored in, has to be factored in when you start working on your marketing message. So this is exactly the challenge a vendor like ManageEngine, which is like been in the business since 2002, which I think the backstory here is we started off as a small vendor startup. Then we slowly grew into SMB. Now we are a 17,000 employee company. So we are an enterprise. So when I start looking at marketing messages, I actually look inward, like look at my organization's growth, the expectations my IT team has got, right? And that actually helps me or guides me in framing those marketing messages. So unification, I think we can broadly say I can come with a unified story, but unified story is just an umbrella. But you need to go to the depths of your audience segmentation and plan your messaging